Welcome to the Workamper Show, brought to you by Workamper.com. This podcast helps you discover how to finance your RV travel dreams. Each one of our episodes will introduce you to people who are already living the RV lifestyle or to work camping opportunities all around the U.S. You'll also learn how to hit the road the right way and make the most of every opportunity. Now let's turn over today's show to your host, Greg Gerber.
Today I'm speaking with an RVer who redesigned his entire life after a brutal fall required him to learn to walk, write, speak, and even swallow all over again. But it opened the door for him to become a work camper for a family-owned RV dealership working as a service advisor. Today's episode is sponsored by Workamper News. Much more than just a job listing website, when you put the tools of this professional service into action, you'll find out just how easy it can be to turn your work camping dreams into reality. A Workamper membership opens the door to a one-stop shop for all things work camping. Being the original resource for work camping, you'll find the largest number of job listings, be able to connect with a community of work campers, and view resources compiled by experts who've been enjoying the RV lifestyle for many years. If you're serious about leading a successful and enjoyable work camping lifestyle, then membership is for you. Join today at workamper.com. Embark on new adventures today with the support of Workamper News behind you. Jim Bartleman thought he had life figured out. He was working as a service advisor in the automotive industry, planning for the future and preparing to eventually hit the road in an RV. But everything changed in an instant after a devastating accident left him in a medically induced coma and forced him to relearn how to walk, talk, read, and swallow. Instead of giving up, Jim used that life-changing experience as motivation to completely redesign his life around what mattered most to him. Today, he and his girlfriend live full-time in a Class C motorhome, work camping at campgrounds in Texas during the winter, and working seasonally at a New York RV dealership during the summer. In this episode, Jim shares how he turned a frightening setback into a new beginning. He also talks about why more RV dealers should hire work campers and how the RV lifestyle has allowed him to reconnect with family, travel the country, and focus on experiences instead of accumulating possessions. Jim shares his experiences dry camping under massive desert skies and learning French at a campground filled with Canadian snowbirds. Based on his experiences, Jim explains why people should stop waiting until retirement to start living the life they want. To tell us his story, please welcome work camper Jim Bartleman to the show. Thanks for joining me today, Jim. I really appreciate the time. How did you get this weird and unusual job of being a seasonal service advisor? That sounds really interesting.
It was. I've been a service advisor for about 8 years, and I was looking for a job that would allow me to travel in the wintertime. I'm from Syracuse, New York, and when it's cold up there in the wintertime, and I was looking for a job that allowed me to get away from that. I did a little research and found a job through Indeed where my local RV dealership, a family-owned RV dealership, was looking for a service advisor, and I approached them with the idea of working seasonally, and they agreed. This is my first year with them, and I'm learning the ropes still on how that side of the service industry works, but I fell right into it, so I love it.
What are some of the things that a service advisor does?
A service advisor is kind of a middleman between the customer and the service technician that's working on their camper. So I'm kind of like a voice for both. So I talk to the customer, find out what their concerns are, and then I can advise my technician on what needs to be completed. And then he can come back and tell me the things that he found with the camper, and then I can come back and talk to the customer and figure out where we're going to go next, triage the situation, and figure out what's the most important thing to get done first, and maybe some things that we can work on later on, and do that. It's between the customer and the technician.
Does it help being an RVer yourself to be able to communicate with customers like that?
I think so. I start out my relationship with the customer by telling my story, that I'm a full-time RVer. I've been in their shoes before. I understand how it all works, and I understand your need for getting your camper back as quickly as possible. And at Wilkins, we're a little bit different from the big box retailer. We specialize in doing kind of a service for them. We can quickly mediate what's going on and try and fix things as as quickly as possible so we can get back in the camping world.
I'm very surprised that other RV dealers haven't figured out that this would be a good thing for them to do, to hire an actual RVer to be a service advisor, and then to do it seasonally when they're really busy, to have some extra people come on staff. A lot of dealers are not willing to hire those kind of folks because they're looking for full-time work, but you were okay with part-time work. Do you think dealers should look at hiring more work campers?
I really do. I think it's a perfect scenario because our main season is April through October. And that's what I wanted to work. In the wintertime, we work on what we call winter work, the bigger jobs, the roofs, the big slide jobs that we have that we weren't able to get completed during the summer. We specialize on that during the winter work, and technicians are needed, but the service advisors we're just there to help and answer phones and book out appointment for the new season. So I think it's a perfect opportunity, especially being from New York.
Another thing that I think work campers could do very well for dealers would be the walkthrough orientations. When somebody is buying a brand new RV, the dealers pull a technician off of the floor, which they don't like to do because that's where they make the money and they're really good at that. But a full-time RVer who has experienced all of this can certainly answer most of the questions that a new buyer would have and probably provide some excellent advice as well.
Is actually transitioning to that. As part of our learning process, we learn to do walkthroughs as a service advisor. And I'm probably a little bit more clued into that than some of the other guys are. But I think it's important to be able to evaluate the situation with the customer and educate them and tell them what you can expect from your camping experience.
I would agree. I think it would be a win-win for everybody. I hope that some RV dealers listen to this and then realize that, hey, this would be a good deal. All we have to do is provide a free campsite for the guy or gal, and they can help us in many different ways. When this season was over for Wilkins, you got another job down in Texas. Tell us about that.
We did. We traveled for a little while and we realized that traveling was very expensive. And we did it for about a month and a half. I went from New York to Florida and then Florida all the way out to California. And on my way there, I found out about workampers.com and different websites and Facebook pages. And I started looking for next year. And I found a place in Mission, Texas. And I applied and she called me right away and we talked about it. And it was a win for both of us. And it was perfect for what we were looking for. So I was very excited. We got the job within a week of starting to look for it, and they needed somebody to start right away. We told them that we'd be there in about 2 or 3 weeks, and they accepted those terms, and we came right away.
What kinds of things are you doing for this campground in Texas?
This year, we're camp hosts. So me and my girlfriend, our main job is to wake up in the morning. It's split shift. We wake up in the morning and we open up all the buildings, the gates to the front, and do a walkthrough of everything. 2 days a week, we clean the pools. And I do the pool and she does the deck. And we get all that organized. And then in the evening time, we're on call for when campers come in after hours, between 4 o'clock and 10 o'clock. And we drive around on a golf cart and make sure everything's still good in the campground. And then we look up at night. It was my first time doing it. We work 4 days a week and then we're off for 4 days. So there's plenty of time in there to do things you want to do around the area. And a lot of work campers are like that. They have a set schedule that allows them the freedom to venture out and see some things around them.
And you were hooked on the experience of work camping within minutes of your arrival.
We were welcomed by about 8 other work campers. They saw us pull up in our camper, came out, greeted us right away, and just feel at home and guided us to what we needed to know about the experience. And it was a good welcoming. So we felt at home right away.
Had you experienced that kind of a welcome at a campground before?
Some places, you kind of feel it out for different clientele and you're surrounded by different people. But I think that this was very unique. It is mainly a French-speaking campground. Most of the campers here are from Quebec, Canada. And it's an interesting experience. I've learned some French since I've been here. And it's been an interesting experience getting to know people and getting to know their stories and the experiences they had. And it was really neat for our first working job.
I have never heard of a campground in America that was primarily French speaking. So that is really cool. And did you have any problems adjusting to the language barriers?
I actually did Duolingo 2 weeks before we and it really helped me a lot. But conversationally, I'm okay. But when I get around groups of people, it's still a little bit difficult. But a lot of them speak English too. It was a good experience.
It's hard to be around native people who speak a foreign language because they speak so fast. When you're learning it, you just have a hard time doing it. So when they talk to you directly, they kind of slow down a little bit and are a little bit more patient with you, I understand. Oh, that's neat.
Oh, sure. Yes, that's my experience. Yes. As a group, it's a little bit difficult, but one-on-one, and kind of understand things a little bit better.
You're not going to be doing a webinar or anything like that in French, but you're able to communicate with them and answer many of their questions.
Yes, yeah. And that's what we're here for. And this is a seasonal campground, so a lot of the people come for the whole entire season. And I've gotten to know them. We're free to do whatever we want during the day. So we have a pool, have shuffleboard, they have poker games, they have bingo, they play a game called Yahoo. I believe is a Canadian game. But it's really cool to get to know their culture, their environment, and I've made many friends.
What type of RV did you select for this adventure?
So we went around and we went to an RV show, which I highly recommend to people that are searching because you can find a vast majority of RVs there. We bought ours in 2024 before I started working for a camping place, but we found a 26 Jayco Red Hawk. It's a driving camper class C, and it's a 26, which means it has a Merc bed in it. So it gives us a little bit more space on the inside during the day. We close up the bed, which is behind me. We can just have a bigger living room area. So it's nice.
Why did you select that kind of RV? It seems small, but it's okay for two people?
It is. It's perfect for two people. We wanted to be able to go pretty much anywhere we wanted to go. A lot of campgrounds, and especially national parks, you can't be over 30 feet. My camper is 28 feet in total length. And my girlfriend primarily is our driver, and we'll get into that a little bit later when we talk about it. But she wanted to be comfortable driving it anywhere. And so we don't even tow a car. We rely basically on our camper. I bought an e-bike this year to travel around in. She rides a regular bike, but I'm trying to convince her to buy an e-bike.
Okay, that's good. What attracted you to the RV lifestyle in the first place?
I was getting older. I wanted to travel more, for sure. I didn't want to be in New York anymore in the wintertime. We are the snow capital of the U.S. there in Syracuse. This winter, they got 140 inches of snow before Christmas. And I wanted to experience a little bit different.
I can't even imagine being in an environment with that much snow. So
it was pretty rough. But for people that like it, it's good. But as I'm getting older, I tend to want to experience more warmer weather.
What are some of the other places that you visited in your RV? You had mentioned Florida and California.
Yeah, we went all the way across. Some of my favorites, White Sands, New Mexico. We visited a couple of the national parks, but that was so much fun. We went sledding on sand in White Sands, New Mexico. It was so much fun.
I actually lived in Alamogordo for a couple of years when I was in the Air Force. So we would go to White Sands National Monument, I guess National Park now, many times. It is a very romantic place to go on full moon nights. to go over a couple of the dunes and enjoy a picnic and watch the sunset in a blaze of colors, then turn around and watch this giant move come up over the Rocky Mountains, and it's very pretty.
Wow. We're only there for the day, but I would definitely on our bucket list to work camp at White Sands for a winter.
I interrupted you. Did you have other places that you visited that you really enjoyed?
We went to a couple of national parks. We got the America the Beautiful Pass. So we were able to see Joshua Tree, which we drove through. A lot of the national parks, when we were going to the destinations we picked the destination and then we found things around that we wanted to do. This time, though, going home, we found things we want to do, and then we're going to pick our camping spots from that. So we learned from traveling that the experience is in finding the different things we want to spend time doing, and then just finding some place that we can camp for the night.
That's a smart way to do that, Jim, really, to breeze through an area and decide which areas you'd like to spend more time in. And I think that's a smart thing for you to do, and planning things that you'd like to do in the future. And the next time you go out in the winter. I understand that.
Down in Texas, there's the Padres Islands, which is about an hour and a half from us here in Mission. And there's a lot of the Padres Islands that you can camp on. And we found that to be wonderful. We spent a lot of our 4 days off in both South Padres Islands and up in Port Aransas, which is off the coast of Corpus Christi there. And a lot of different places in Texas. The East Coast is really beautiful.
Did you get to see a space launch?
I did not. We missed it. Yeah, they do. Yes. Yeah, they do. Yeah, right off of there.
While you were traveling from Florida to California and back down to Texas, I understand you stayed at a number of Harvest, Host, and Hip Camp locations. What were those like?
Oh, Big Sky. That's my first thought. Is we stayed in some of the Hip Camps, and Hip Camp is just an app. It's free to use. And some of the Hip Camps we stayed in were ranches that people had that basically we were dry camping on some of them. Some of them were full hookups, but some of them were just dry camping in the middle of a desert or a plain. And we had huge skies with thousands of stars and no light pollution. It really was an experience. Dry camping is not for everybody, but we spaced it out. We would dry camp for a day or two and then hit a campground or a place that we had full hookup.
Is there a cost to stay at those locations?
Very little. Most of the Hip Camps are between $15 and $25 a night.
Okay. And for the Harvest Hosts, they do ask that you support the business you're in, but that many times that's not a problem at all, is it?
No, we in farms and wineries and breweries and pizza places and lots of ways you're going to eat. So we would either buy our groceries or vegetables and produce, eggs, and we have pizza at different restaurants, and it was really neat. It was a really neat experience.
So you'd go back to one of those anytime you're traveling?
Oh, lots. Yeah, we started making lists of ones that we liked the most. The one that came to mind was one in Jacksonville, Florida, and it was a harvest. He was really new to harvest hosting, but he actually had water and electric for us, and it was a big open farm, and he had a lake and a pond, and then off the side of his farm, he had a motocross track. And it was a weekend, and we got to watch motocross racing there. It was really neat.
That's very cool.
Yeah, there's lots of good experiences. Yeah, lots of good experiences out there.
What do you like most about the work camping and RVing lifestyle?
I just turned 50 last year, so I wasn't ready for retirement. This gives me an opportunity to see different places without having to cost a lot of money to do. With work camping, our particular one this year was not a paid work camping job, but we worked about 15 hours a week for free hookup with free electric, and we even got a laundry stipend, which they gave us a couple rolls of quarters to wash our clothes with for the winter. So it was pretty good.
When you think about it, the housing is the biggest expense that you have. So the RV most of the time. So if you can get a free site for 15 hours a week, that's great. And many people do that to take advantage of the free site and then get a local job at a restaurant or some other place on a part-time basis to bring in any income that they need. It's best of both worlds.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a couple work campers here that they're the work camper and their spouse works from home. So they have remote jobs or other things that they do on the side, and that can provide them more income. It used to be, from what I understand, is work campers back in the day were mostly retired people, but the age is getting younger, and people are realizing that they want this kind of lifestyle earlier on to where they can still enjoy the lifestyle. And so it's getting younger and younger, and more people are experiencing things like this. So
you are absolutely correct. When I started as a journalist in the RV industry, that was in January of 2000, and the average age of first RV ownership was 65. People retired and then bought an RV. By the time I left my job as a journalist, that age of first ownership had dropped into the 40s because of for the reasons that you suggested. People are just wanting to do this and enjoy these experiences while they're young enough and healthy enough and able to enjoy the experiences.
Absolutely. Yeah, it definitely, I see it all the time. Most of the work campers that I know are around my age, and they're experiencing life in a different way.
Exactly.
And I'm not rich by any means. I am not well off by any means, but I make enough during the summertime to save my monies and pinch my pennies because I'm living in my RV full time in New York. So that saves me a lot on housing. So I'm able to save my money for winter when I'm not able to work. So it's a win-win.
So even when you're working at the RV dealership, you're still living in an RV.
We do, yes. In fact, I stay there we have host spots at our dealership. And I stay there for the month of April and the month of October because my campground is closed. But we have a seasonal site in Memphis, New York, and it's a beautiful spot. It's a lot of full-time RVers, or at least permanent seasonal campers as well, that stay there. And so we got to know a lot of them as well. So it's really neat. I have neighbors that are right next to me.
That's neat. Do you have any advice for people who are considering jumping into the RV lifestyle or wondering whether work camping would be right for them?
Definitely look around. Yeah, I would suggest going to an RV show or two, get that experience. Find a place that's family owned. A lot of places go for those big box retailers, and they may be okay for selling an RV, but servicing it, you want that one-on-one attention. And I think that's what a family owned RV dealer can bring to you. And I know my customers by name. They can keep coming back to me. I build a relationship with them, and we can figure out what their needs are and those needs and exceed those expectations. So definitely that. Figure out what your plans are for RVing and see what's right for you, whether it be a travel trailer or a fifth wheel or a Class C or Class A or whatever the case may be, and go from there. Maybe start out with something and then maybe eventually move into something else down the road, which is what we plan on doing. We plan on being in our Class C for a couple of years and then maybe moving up to a Class A that's still in less than 30-foot range. We get just a little more storage underneath and a little more space up ahead. And it works to our advantage to figure out what we want for long-term use.
That's excellent advice. Just do it. Get started. You can make changes along the way. So,
absolutely.
How can people connect with you if they'd like to ask you a question or follow you on your journey?
Sure. I have an Instagram page for our camping experience. It's Sweet Henry Adventures. It's sweet_Henry.adventures on Instagram. And then my name is Jimmy Bartleman on Facebook. You're welcome to ask me for a friend request on there and see our adventures on there. And if you have any RVing questions, I'm an open book. I'm more than willing to help people along the way. And guys, even if you're not in the same state as me, I can guide you on advice and where to go next. It's a good experience. I love it. We've been doing it for almost a year now, full time in our RV, and we look forward to many more years.
That's great. You had just recently turned 50 and it started off with a bang, literally. What happened?
Yes. I was at work as a service advisor in the automotive industry, and I'm not sure. I think that I tripped on a mat in the office of where I worked at, and I fell and I hit my head on the counter, and then I hit my head on the floor. And the next I know, it was 2 weeks later, and I woke up at a hospital.
So you were unconscious and pretty much in a coma for 3 weeks?
I was in an induced coma because they couldn't stop seizures from the brain bleed that I experienced. I was 49 years old. I was healthy. I was very active, and I just fell and I hit my head. And they said if I hadn't fallen at work, I would have been alone. I probably wouldn't be here today. And that was my wake up call. That's when I decided that I wanted to do something different.
Because you had to learn to walk, write, speak, and swallow all over again.
I did. Yes. I spent about 4 weeks in the actual hospital, and then they transitioned me to another wing of the hospital, which was the rehab facility. And I spent another 2 weeks there. And I went through different types of rehab, learning to read and write and walk and talk and even swallow. I couldn't swallow. And I had to do that all over again. And it was a long process. Even after I was out of the hospital, I continued into therapy classes to help me with my brain activity and memory and coordination skills. And it's taken me a long time to bring that back.
How does somebody learn to swallow? That is something that you would think would be instinctive.
Yeah, they actually put these little prongs on my neck to measure my swallowing capacity. And what happened is that I was taking in, when I swallowed, I was taking in too much air and too much liquid into my throat. So it was affecting my stomach. It had to help me learn how to do it properly. And it was a crash course. It took me 2 weeks to get through that. And I had to be able to swallow to get out of the hospital. And I couldn't have regular food because they were afraid that I would choke on it. But I had a tube in my stomach, and that wasn't reacting well with me. And it was a scary experience. And I had wonderful doctors and wonderful counselors there that helped me and guided me and really got me back into being a person again. So it was a scary experience. So I was very thankful for all those guidances that I had along the way to help me get back to a normal lifestyle.
Have you experienced any long-term effects?
Memory is definitely one. My short-term memory isn't great, but I can focus on things, and they taught me how to memorize things like people's names, associating it with something else. I can remember people's names and different skills to help me with my memory. And now I think that I'm actually better at remembering people's names than I was before.
That's good. That association, that's what the experts tell us we need to do when we're memorizing names. And so you learned it as part of your relearning process. So that's cool.
Absolutely.
Did the accident force you out of the work that you had as a service provider or service advisor?
Yeah, I was out of work for about 7 months. They held my job for about 6, and they had to replace me. So I lost my job there, and that's when I started thinking about the RV industry, because we were planning on going full-time anyways in our RV. And I thought that maybe that's a place that I could get a seasonal position at and be able to do what I wanted to do. And at first, it wasn't a seasonal position. I had to convince them to let me work seasonally.
But it all worked out. So you were able to use the skills and talents that you developed as a service advisor in the automotive industry, but this time in the recreation vehicle industry.
Absolutely. I brought a whole new light to the industry too, because I was excited. I was passionate about it because I lived full-time in RV, and I wanted to share my experience with my customers. And I have friends, customers that follow me on Instagram just to see my journey. So it's neat.
What ways did this experience capture your attention and cause you to reprioritize your life?
I realized that I don't know how long I'm going to be there for. I've always been a very healthy person, and I've always strived to eat healthy and balance exercise and work and my whole environment. I realized that work is the main function of life. And we have to experience things and live your life more thoroughly and really do it while you can, because you never know what's going to happen. So I was able to transition into more of a different frame of mindset, I think, and realize what was more important to me. My kids are all grown and they're adults now, and they live in different parts of the country, and now I can travel and see them. So I like it.
And it's a very good experience, I think, from that regard, that people realize that life can turn on a dime. You didn't have a major illness or anything like that. It's just an accident that automatically changed your life. So many of us plan that when I get to be 65, when I'm retired, then I'm going to enjoy life and do things. And we're not guaranteed that extra time.
That's for sure. Yeah. I've had a friend that just died at 55 years old, and he was very healthy, and he's not going to be able to see his retirement age and experience all those things that we look forward to in life. And that's my guidance, if I can, for anybody, is do it now while you can still enjoy your life and get out there and see the world and see the United States and different parts of the country and really have those experiences.
Yeah, you had mentioned that you have an RV. And so a lot of people are waiting until they retire to get the RV and then go out and enjoy it. And they find that they've waited so long that all they can do is drive to a location and park their rigs, but they don't have the energy to go out and really explore. So the fact that you're doing this now that you're younger, I think is great.
That's a good thing. The Class C too is it's easy hookup. You don't have most people come with a fifth wheel or even a travel trailer have to take some few minutes to hook up at least. I can do mine in about 10, but I can be at a different location the next day and have no problem at all. So move my slide in, unhook my hoses, unhook my electric, and pull away.
How many children do you have?
I have 4 kids. They're all over the age of 18. My girlfriend has 2 additional kids. So we have a blended family, but they're all grown and adults now. And so they're doing their thing, we're doing our thing, and we experience things along the way.
You said they're scattered all over the country?
They are, yes. One daughter that lives in New York, and a son that lives now in Maine. He just moved there. Another son that lives in California. So they're all over the place.
That's neat to have an RV to go visit them, because you can still connect with them and you have your own space. And when you're visiting, you don't have to stay on their couch or use one of their bedroom and interrupt their own routines. So that's a neat feature of having that RV.
For sure, yes. It's very nice. Yeah, we were able to go visit my son in California. That was our main purpose of going to California across country, was visit my son. And we had an RV park that was 10 minutes from his house, and we were able to have our own space, and he had his, and he'd come pick us up when we go out for the day and kind of experience the different things that he loved to do there. And it was neat. It was a good experience for everybody.
The accidents forced you to look at your life and realize that you may have to go in a different direction.
I definitely like helping people, and I like meeting people. So Workamping fell into that. And I just fell right into, I love the different campgrounds that we've seen. And actually an 80-year-old couple told us about Workamping while I was still at Wilkins in their parking lot waiting for October to end so we could hit the road. And then we're camping for 15 years in their 80s in a little 16-foot camper.
Wow.
And they lived full-time in their camper during the winter at different places. They were the nicest couple, and they just really told us all about work camping and getting us involved and kind of gave us some guidance. And that's where we started our whole work camping experience. Work camping has just added to that, where I'm able to take those relationships and turn them into something else. And I meet people and I greet people and I show them to their sites. I help them get set up and I answer any questions they may have. And then I'm building relationships with them while they're staying there. And they know that they can come to me with any problems that they have. And I tell them that I love my experience with RVs. And I'm a beacon of hope for answers in a world that's full of questions. It's a good experience. I don't know if I want to do anything different. I know I want to travel more. Yeah, I want to see where that goes.
I think that's a great answer because you realize what you're passionate about, and that is helping other people. But it sounds like you love doing what you're doing and just found a job where you can utilize those natural talents and learned skills and unique experiences to help other people. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it too. It's an experience that I'm learning to love.
Is there anything still on your bucket list of things that you'd like to do?
Before my accident, I was a rock climber. I started rock climbing when I was 35, so I was later on in life there too. So second half of my life, I would like to climb around the country.
Are you able to do that now, even after the accident?
I'm getting back into it. So when we get back to New York I'm going to focus back at first climbing inside a gym and then going outside and experiencing the outdoor climbing. I've already got it, and my girlfriend's right there with me. She climbs as well. We like signing waivers. So anything that requires a waiver, we're really into it.
I love it. That's neat that you're able to do that. You had mentioned traveling, how much you enjoy that. Are there any places that you'd really like to visit yet?
I haven't been able to see the northern states as much. I would love the opportunity to go there. Now we're working during the summertime, so it's our winter time when we're able to travel more. Maybe in a few years we'll reverse that. I'll work a normal job in the wintertime down south as an RV advisor down there and experience the northern states for a while in the summertime.
But no plans to do so at this point. You're just happy with where you're at this stage in your life.
Yeah, we really like New York in the summer. It's a really awesome place to be. And we really want to experience a little bit more of life up there. And I'm really happy with Wilkins. They're a really superior RV dealership. So it's family owned. Brian is the owner and he's just fantastic.
That's great. I really appreciate you sharing your story with me today. I think it's very inspirational because it caught you off guard. It forced you to change your life and you made the best of it. And rather than roll over and feel sorry for yourself, you said, we're going to change this and go do something that I've always wanted to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been a great experience and I look forward to many more years of doing it.
And how can people connect with you again?
Yeah, it's sweet_Henry.adventures on Instagram. Or my name is Jimmy Bartleman, Bartleman on Facebook. So I'm the only Jimmy Bartleman out there. Come and find me.
Awesome. Thank you again for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Greg. Have a great day.
Jim Bartleman's story is a reminder that life can change in an instant, and sometimes even an unexpected detour can lead to the most rewarding adventures. Whether he's working seasonally at an RV dealership or serving as a camp host in Texas, Jim found a way to combine his passion for helping people with a lifestyle built around travel, flexibility, and meaningful experiences. Along the way, he discovered the value of work camping and the freedom that comes with full-time RV living, as well as the importance of making memories while you still can. Jim also shared practical advice for new RVers and explained why smaller RVs can offer more flexibility. He talked about the growing number of younger workers embracing the work camping lifestyle long before retirement age. If you'd like to follow Jim's adventures or connect with him directly, you can find him on Instagram at Sweet Henry Adventures or on Facebook by searching for Jimmy Bartleman. Most work campers like Jim have interesting stories to tell about their travels and experiences. If you would like to be featured in an upcoming episode of the Workamper Show, I encourage you to schedule an interview with me at workampershow.com. We'd love to hear about your work camping experiences, how you got started RVing, and what you love and dislike about the RVing lifestyle. You can help others explore all the different ways to live this great lifestyle by sharing your story. If you are an employer of work campers, we invite you to be on the podcast too. Share all the details of your work camping jobs in a future episode. It only costs a little bit of your time. Schedule an interview with me today by going to workampershow.com. You'll find the schedule buttons at the bottom of the homepage. That's all for this week's show. I'll have another fun interview on the next episode of The Workamper Show. If you like these interviews, please consider leaving a review wherever you download the episodes. Thanks for listening.